Hey everyone, my name is Nazrin and I'm a self-taught graphic designer. Today I'm going to walk you through how I create one of these character designs or character illustrations. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. Alright, so I've pulled this image up from my website, that's nazrinjafari.com, in case you're interested in looking at my portfolio. Alright, so my first step when creating a character illustration is getting inspiration. So right now I actually get my inspiration from folks on Instagram, so I can go ahead and just show you what I'm doing right now. Instagram.com/ there we go. So right now I'm doing a series where I ask people where their happy place is. And based on their responses, I go ahead and illustrate that place. So for example, this illustration is of someone's happy place, which is biking through Amsterdam. This is another example of someone's happy place by the beach. And the reason I really like to engage audiences in my design is because for me, design is really about making people feel, making people think. And it's not just about being aesthetically pleasing, but really having a story behind each piece. So that's why the inspiration step is really big for me. And that's why I'm actually not jumping in right now. Or that's why I'm not just jumping into the Illustrator tutorial first. So now after I figure out what I want the character illustration to depict, I go ahead and get some inspiration. So I get inspiration from a couple different places, but I think that Dribble, that's Dribble with actually 3 B's, that I think Dribble is a really great place for designers. There's just so much good work on there. So now that I'm on Dribble, I go ahead and just search, for example, travel. And I see what comes up. I go ahead and just go down to illustration. So yeah, I basically just scroll through and get some inspiration in terms of palettes and forms. I see what I like. I like this kind of, I like how it's coming, this like smokestack is, creating that illustration. I like this color change. I love the simplicity and forms here. So really the reason I look through other people's work is just to collect ideas of the kinds of shapes and color palettes I like. And that really helps me figure out how I want to create my own illustration. So you see here there's some like grain texture going on. Let's zoom in. Grain texture, so that might be something I want to apply to my illustration. So I highly suggest that you go ahead and every day, really, not just when you're creating work, every day you should be looking at work that you aspire to so that you can start creating this it's almost like a file that you store in your head of images and kind of details that you like that you want to start incorporating into your piece. So I think one thing I really liked, I like this one. I like how this person is kind of staring off into nature. I like that positioning. So I might want to, create something that has an element of nature that has this kind of this foot posture because it feels a little bit powerful, empowering. All right. So once I figure out kind of an idea of maybe a palette, a texture, or a pose that I want to use, I go ahead and either I will draw, and if I don't want to draw, I'll go ahead and use a website called Pexels. So Pexels is really great because it's a free photo sharing platform. If you want to go ahead and check out their license, you can do that. Basically, you can use these photos for free personal or commercial use. So if you're like me and you don't, you're not drawing is not your strongest skill, and you don't want to, it maybe takes you a lot of time to create a drawing that you're happy with, I would suggest just go ahead and using a photo for reference. That's oftentimes what I do. So there's my little secret in case you were wondering. Okay, so here we go. What am I, oh yeah, travel. So I can search other keywords, maybe like hiking, or adventure. So I usually try a couple different keywords before I find something that I like. All right, this one I really like, and as you could probably tell, this one actually was the inspiration for my character design. So I like this because, again, it has that kind of empowering posture. This person, I guess it's a he, is looking over the mountains. I really love nature, so this photo really speaks to me. All right, so what I do from here, I go ahead and I copy the image. And now that I have my idea for the character design, I got some inspiration, and now I have a photo to work off of. I'm going to at this point, open Illustrator. Okay, so let's open Illustrator. We're going to open a new document. Go to File, New. Let that load for a sec. Okay, so I like to go to Art and Illustration up here, and then I use 1080 by 1080, which should be my recent. Okay, sorry, I'm going to go back to my recent file. So I like to use 1080 by 1080, mainly because this is like the size for Instagram, an optimal size for Instagram photos, which is where a lot of my work is showcased. So 1080 by 1080 is a square, so it really doesn't matter what your orientation is. And make sure you are in RGB color, and then create. All right, so starting here with our first layer, we're in layer 1. I'm going to go ahead and just, boom, copy and paste that photo in there. So this is obviously a really huge image. Just going to drag it over. It doesn't really matter where I put it. I just want it somewhere on the artboard where I can start to sketch over it. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and lock this layer so that the photo does not move around. So notice if I don't lock that layer, if I click this, the photo is going to move. That's going to be really annoying. So go ahead and lock that layer. That way, there's nothing you can do to it. Okay, from here, you're going to start a new layer, layer 2, above your first layer, above the photograph. And in this layer is where I like to draw the character's actual, the body. Okay, so I like to use geometric forms. So I'm not going to go ahead and carefully trace over every detail. I've done that in my past works, which you can check out on my website or my Instagram. And yeah, so right now I'm kind of more interested in more geometric work. So let's go ahead. I usually start with the head because it's very easy. So you can go to the Ellipse Tool, or the shortcut on the keyboard is to click L. I definitely recommend learning how to use shortcuts. Okay, so here's the circle. If you stretch it too far, it becomes an ellipse. If you press Shift, then you will get a circle. Just a little pro tip. All right, so there's my circle. I'm not going to worry about the color. I'm just going to do a pretty quick sketch of this form. All right, from here, I'm going to use the pencil tool. So I'm going to use the pencil tool because I like to do more free form work. Again, remember, if I were to use a pen tool, then it would be a little bit more precise. So you know what, I just realized this is a little bit too, and I guess this is a good lesson. So this is a little bit too exact to the form. If you notice in my character design style, I like to exaggerate the body form. So make that arm a little bit big, make those legs a little bit big, and thighs. So I'm going to actually go ahead and delete that. I don't really like that. Okay, so I'm going to do just a quick sketch. I want the arm to be kind of big and rounded. Got that sleeve. Fine. No big deal. I'm not going to worry about the perfect, curves right now. All right, from here, maybe I just want to start working on the leg. I want to create a little bit of a puff pants. So I'm going to go out and then bring it in, out. I'm going to give that butt a little bit more definition. Maybe just close that line off like that. Cool. Okay, so it looks like these forms disappeared, but they didn't. They just have not been outlined. So let's go ahead and just outline that so we can see the strokes. I'm going to make the outline white so that it pops out. Okay, let me just skip that. Let's make this set 1. Okay, now I'm just going to continue doing this for all the parts of the body. I don't really know what's going on there, so I'm going to draw the shirt lines, something like that. Great. I'm going to put this, send this to the back, right, because the arm should be coming before the body. And then I'm just gonna draw this leg. It's coming out a bit. I'm gonna exaggerate the puffy pants. Well, he doesn't have puffy pants, but I want to create puffy pants. Send it to the back. Then I'm gonna draw the shoes. Again, we're not doing anything exact. I just want to do something a little bit more fun, stylish. Alright guys, if you're still watching this video, thanks so much. This is my first tutorial, my first time sharing my screen or recording my screen. If you like this content, please make sure to like, subscribe, or comment. I share tips and lessons that I'm learning as a self-taught graphic designer. One thing I think is a little bit unique about my channel is that I'm really in the process right now. I'm learning as I go. I'm just really being candid and sharing my experiences as they come. Okay, now that I have pretty much all the component pieces, I'm going to go ahead and start filling in these forms. So when it comes to color palettes, I mean, I sometimes will sit for like 30-40 minutes just doing this. Literally just doing that. Like, what looks good? What looks good? So, like, when I first start, I really don't put too much thought. I just want to fill it in so I can get a feel for what's going on. So this is the shirt, right? The shirt sleeve. This is also a shirt sleeve, so I'm going to go ahead and make that the same color. I'm going to make the sleeve pop out a little bit more, so I'm going to maybe like make it a little darker. Then I'm going to do these pants. Let's say I want to make these pants blue. Fine. See how the pants are coming in front of the, it's layered in front of the shirt. I don't want that, so I'm going to click on it, and I'm going to go arrange back, send to back. There we go. Then we have this little leg sticking out over there. Oh, so if you want to sample colors, the short keyboard shortcut is I. You can also just go here and press the button, but definitely keyboard shortcuts are better in my opinion. Gonna get the shoes. If you have two objects that you want to color, you want to do the same command to both of them, you're going to go ahead and click Shift, and then you can group those two together. I don't know what I want to do. Let's just say I'm going to do that. Whatever. Okay. Do this. Arrange. Send that to the back. Send this to the back. Okay, let's color this little stick. We can make that brown. Fine. Little hand. Oh, okay, so right now I'm in RGB color. If I want to bring down the hue or the saturation, I like to go into HSB, and this will help me change just the saturation. That kind of helps me fine-tune colors more. So just go here. You can go between grayscale, RGB, HSB, whatever. I usually use RGB and HSB. So go ahead and click this stick. I'm going to arrange it to the back because that wouldn't make sense otherwise. And then I'm going to go ahead and color that the same way. Okay. Oh wait, I can't forget the backpack. Any old color will do for now. Sure. No. Whatever. It really doesn't matter. Okay. So here we go. We have that was pretty fast, right? I mean, there's a lot of things that we need to fix here, but I can start to see the general character design forming. Now from here, I like to just turn off the photo because it seems sometimes a little bit just distracting. Now if I want to turn it back on, I can easily do that. Just press this I button in the layers panel. Alright, so from here I'm going to go ahead and take out the strokes because I don't want to work with strokes. I just had that in the beginning when I was sketching. Okay, so I definitely don't like this color palette right now, but as we mentioned before, that's fine. I'm going to pull this head down. Okay, so I'm kind of cool with this blue. I don't really like anything else. Well, let's go ahead and play with the colors just a little bit. So, I mean, this is really my process. I just kind of sit here for a while and play around. Kind of like that. I mean, you guys know I already created this design, so I'm probably just going to recreate those colors. But my point is that it takes me a while. So let's go ahead here. Again, press I. The keyboard shortcut is I for matching colors. This is a little bit bright for me. I want to make it a little bit more red. It's still a little bit bright though, so I'm going to go into HSB color. Bring it down a little bit. Fine. Bring this down. Something like that. I don't know. This is a little too red now. Make too orange. Something like that, I guess, is okay. Let's make this a little, like, that lime green is obviously not going to work in this natural setting, right? So go to the fill, make it, let's make it kind of like a more, yeah, earthy tone, some kind of a brown maybe. That should be okay. Again, I'm in HSB color mode up here, HSB. Definitely a recommended tip to go between RGB and HSB. That's okay, I guess. The blue is kind of like really bright in your face. I'm going to add a little bit of like kind of a purple tint to it. I'm going to bring down that saturation. So see, let's just take a look at this really quick. Here we have two similar colors, right? But the difference is that this has a lower saturation, so it looks a little creamier. It's easier on the eyes. And sometimes people make the mistake of not of having the saturation on like high all the time, and that can just make your illustrations look a little bit flat. This gives it a nice, cool, and creamy texture. I really like that feel. So go ahead. I'm gonna make the same color. Boom. Okay, let's zoom out. Okay, so this is starting to come together a little bit more, as you can see. What do I want to do with the shoes? That yellow looks pretty cool. Kind of down with that. That looks a little too similar to the shirt. And really what I do, again, I know I emphasize color a lot. Color is very important to me. But I'm not very strategic. I just like to look and I see what feels right, what fits. And I just click all over the place until something sticks. So nothing is quite sticking yet. I do like that blue. Let's bring, again, the saturation down, make that a little bit creamier. I'm done with that. Okay. We're going to go ahead and copy that and press V to go back to your direct selection tool. Okay, so now we can see like the colors are a little bit more cohesive, right? I don't love that backpack yet though, which is fine. I mean, we can always figure that out as we go. Okay, so now that I have the color palette a little bit more figured out, I'm going to go ahead and just work on these forms a little bit. Okay, so remember that we used the pencil tool to create these forms, right? We didn't use the pen tool, and the reason I did that was because the pencil tool is freehand, and that freehand aspect gives you a little bit more of an organic feel, right? Your strokes are not going to be as exact as they are with the pen tool, and I personally like that for my character designs. So let's go ahead and fix this. I don't like how much this shirt is like, what is it, like slumping? I don't know, it's weird over here. And that's also weird, that little corner. So let's go ahead and fix that. We're going to click on the torso. We're going to click on this is the direct selection tool. The keyboard shortcut is A. So this is where it gets like super tedious and you have to be patient. So I just really like to play around. These are handles, right? You can fix the, you can like really adjust the angle of your curves. You have to get good at using the direct selection tool because it's very important in making exact strokes. So right now you can see I'm just playing around a bit, moving these guys. That looks not very good, right? So I have to just keep working. It's kind of nerve-wracking to do one of these because I'm like doing it live and I don't know if it's going to come out well. I mean, oh well. Showing the process, showing the process. Okay, this is kind of okay, not really. Yeah. So yeah, that was better. Here, this little sharp corner. If you click on this object with the direct selection tool, you'll notice this little circle come up. Click that circle and then drag it in to curve that edge out. So I like that. So there we go. That sure looks a little bit more normal. There is some kind of bumpiness though that I don't love, so what I'm going to use now is the smooth tool. The smooth tool is really awesome. It's over here. There we go. Okay, that was weird. So you're going to go ahead and click the smooth tool. Now with your object selected, right, your object has to be selected, you're just going to click down on the mouse and then run it over the object. And what you'll notice is that it's going to fix the points and round them out a little bit. So you see how it's getting smoother in this corner? It kind of, I don't like what it did, but you can always fix that. So yeah, I really like the smoothing tool because it's a nice way to just make your forms a lot simpler. All right, pressing V to go back to that selection tool. Okay, so there we go. The shirt looks better now. The dip is not there. I want to make again, I like to exaggerate forms, so I'm going to go ahead and exaggerate this a little bit. I'm going to click this point. I'm going to press Shift so I can hold multiple points down at once. Okay, and I'm going to stretch it out a bit. Kind of a simpler way. I'm going to press the minus sign. That is a point. This is when you can like delete a point within an object. So see this point here, I'm gonna click on it and it's going to delete. There we go. And I'm going to delete this guy too. So press the minus sign. You see that little minus thing next to the pen tool and boom. Great. I'm going to go back to A, my direct selection tool, pull this handle down, make this form nice and curvy. There's still that little like that thing I don't like there, so I'm going to go to the smoothing tool. I have to click it. Make sure the selection is chosen, and then I'm going to smooth it out. There we go. See that? Smoothing tool is awesome. I highly recommend. Okay. Go ahead, click this. Now I want the shoulder shouldn't be popping out from the body, so I'm going to fix that as well. Press A for my direct selection tool, and I'm going to do that. That's much better. Make sure this line is continuous. Boom, much better, much better. I want to make this come out just a little bit more. Maybe make it a little bit curvy like that. That's kind of cool. I like that. Awesome. Okay, cool. So let's work on the pants now. From here, I want to create a little bit of like a tie down there. So I'm going to press M, which is like a shape tool or a rectangle. I'm going to go ahead and go just about the cuff of the ankle. Press I, make sure that's the same color as the pant leg, and I'm actually going to make it a bit darker, right? Just to give it a little bit of a difference. Press V, scoot in. Okay, I'm going to drag it over here. So that seems like a little bit, that's a good size. I'm just going to make it a little bit bigger. And then instead of having these sharp angles, I'm going to round it out. So I'm going to click, press A for my direct selection tool, and I'm going to round out the edges like so. Great. I'm into that. Let's just turn it a little bit. Got it. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and do this same thing over here on this leg. So I'm going to click this. I'm going to hold down Option on Mac, and see this double pointer is going to come out. That means I could make a copy if I just drag. So that is actually really helpful, much quicker than copy and pasting in my opinion. So let's go ahead and take this guy. Gotta go to the corner. When that little arrow tool pops up, you can go ahead and turn it. So just like that is good. Yeah. Great. Now I don't like this backpack situation. I'm going to make this smaller, so let's move that for now. I'm going to use the pencil tool again. I'm going to draw a strap right here. You can't see the line because it's red. Sorry. There we go. Press V, click on that, and I'm going to make it like a darker, like a strappy color. Fill it in with something like that, just for now. See, it's kind of bumpy, that line, so we want to smooth it out. smooth it out. There we go. The smoothing tool is really awesome, such a time saver. It really makes a difference. And the thing is, like with illustration, like it's all about the detail, you know, so you could work off the same exact photo as someone else and the pieces can come out totally different because one of them is paying attention to detail and the other one is not. Okay, so now for this backpack, I don't know, maybe I'll just create something like that. Let's see what that looks like. I don't really like that. Let's try it again. I don't like that either. Let's try it again. Patience. So I'm gonna go something like this. That looks a little better. Okay, that's fine. That's better. Okay, I'm gonna fix that shoulder, bring it down because now the shoulder is being seen. Before it was not, so I didn't worry about it. Now I'm worrying about it. Gonna round that out with the smooth tool. There we go. Okay, I'm gonna make a little bit of a detail, so let's go ahead and just draw this pouch. And so as you can see, I'm gonna go ahead and just do that. As you can see, I start with a photo, but I really end up, you know, I just use the core parts of the photo, and then I just kind of end up making the rest on my own. Alrighty, so the basic form is pretty much there now. Let's curve that. Let's make that sharp edge a curve. Boom. There we go. Awesome. I like to put shoelaces on the shoe, so let's go ahead and do that. Press M, the keyboard shortcut for rectangles. It's a shoelace. It should be small. Zoom in. Get that direct selection tool. Fix that. Press V to drag the object. Boom. Drag it over to the shoe. Got to turn it. I'm going to make it a little bit smaller because this is a little bit big. Oh, it's not letting me. Okay, let's make it a little bit smaller. And let's make it more yellow. Yeah. Something like that. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and zoom in and round out the edges. Okay, now I'm going to make a copy of the shoelace. So I'm going to press down Option on the Mac, click down the object, and then drag, and it will give me another copy. I'm going to slightly tilt that. Boom. Fine. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing for this shoe over there. Now, one thing that I notice right now is that this shoe is rounded, and this shoe has a point. I personally like this point, so I'm going to fix that shoe, which probably might be a little annoying, but it's okay. So I'm going to drag that point out, do that, bring that down a little bit like that. Great. Now, to make this a point, I need to pull down, bring these back down like that, and like that. But you see, so this is a straight line, and then there's a point, and then it curves. So that means that this needs to be a straight line, point, and then curve. So this needs to come down. There we go. This needs to be a straight line, and in fact, I'm going to delete this point because it's not needed. Like that. Make this curve more like that. Alrighty. Make that a straighter line. In fact, I can actually delete this point too because then it will just be a straight line from here to here. So press the minus sign. There we go. Yeah. So in that way, I made the shoes more similar. But you notice that there's a dip here, right? And then it does that. So I need to fix that here. Okay, so here I don't have any more points, right? So I can just go ahead and add a point, press the plus sign, add a point, and go ahead and drag it down like that. We want this to go like that. And then from here, we're going to do that. Alrighty, there we go. So that's now a little bit more similar. We got that dip and then that thing. Okay, let's just fix that. There we go, it's a little better. And then we got to do the shoelaces, of course. Press M. We're going to color it the same thing as these shoelaces, so press I to sample the color. Zoom in and go ahead and round this out. Drag it and tilt it. And then, we're going to go ahead and just make copies like we did before. Alright guys, if you're still watching this video, thanks so much. This is my first tutorial, my first time sharing my screen or recording my screen. If you like this content, please make sure to like, subscribe, or comment. I share tips and lessons that I'm learning as a self-taught graphic designer. One thing I think is a little bit unique about my channel is that I'm really in the process right now. I'm learning as I go. You know, I'm just really being candid and sharing my experiences as they come. All right, okay, so let's go ahead and move on. We got this basic character design here. Now I'm going to, if I want to add some detail, one way I really like to do that is through gradients. So when I think about where I want to put the gradient, I try to think about like where the shadow might be, right? So in this case, if I want to figure out the shadow, I need to figure out the light source. So this guy, or well, actually no, this is a girl. So let's do the hair. I almost forgot about that. So one more time real quick, press the N button for your pencil. I like to do this style where I do a little curvy thing here. There's the ear, and then this kind of just flops down, nice and curvy, and boom. Okay, and then let's make that like some kind of a brown color, I guess. Okay, that looks weird, right? So one thing that's important to know is like when you do create something that's weird, like why? So maybe just take a moment to think about why this looks weird. Okay, so if you thought that it had something to do with this part at the top of her head, you are right. It's too high, right? Her headline, it's right about here, right? The circle headline. Oh, there we go. Where's the circle? The circle headline is right there, and the hair comes way too high above it. Okay, so we're going to do that again, making sure we're staying more true to the top of the head. There's the ear again. I'm going to make this wavy, boom. And then this more straight. Again, stay true to the top of the head. Then, close that. Okay, let's see how that looks. Okay, that's better, but it looks a little looks a little stiff. So let's try to fix that. Maybe I can just do that. Maybe I can fix it by playing around with the paths. Okay, I don't like the way that's looking, so I'm going to do it again. There we go. That looks like it's going to be better. Boom. There we go. Much better, right? Some work can still be done, of course, but you all know how to do that at this point. Just making sure you are adjusting your points, and then using the smoothing tool to smooth out your lines. There we go. Awesome. Much better. There could be some more volume there. Okay. Anyways, back to the gradients and backdrop. So if I want to figure out the gradients, I'm going to figure out where the light source is coming from. This character is on a hill or a mountain, so I'm going to go ahead and start creating that backdrop right now. I'm going to go into layers. I'm going to create another layer that's actually going below this character design. So right here, even though it says layer 3, it's going to go below. Now you can always rename your layers, right? So you could, let's say this is like photo. This is backdrop. This is character, whatever you want. To be honest, I don't do that, though it probably would maybe be better, but yeah, I don't. But you can do that if you'd like. Okay, so I'm gonna draw the mountain. If I want to pull up this photo again, just to have a reference of like what's going on here, I can do that. Press N. Again have to be in the backdrop layers. And the reason I want to do that is because I want everything that I draw to be underneath or behind this character. So I'm just going to follow this. No big deal. Let's close that like so. I'm going to make that like a nice brown. That's fine. And then let's just take that away. Something like that. That's fine for now. Yeah, let's go back. Okay. And now you can see she's at the top of the mountain. Let's make this a little bit brighter. There we go. Okay, and now I'm gonna go ahead and let's create a sun. So I'm gonna click. Oh, L is the keyboard shortcut. Press down Shift to make sure you're getting a circle and not an ellipse. Maybe that's, okay, so see what happened there? That's actually an ellipse. That happened because I took my hand off of the Shift key before I clicked for the circle. So let's go ahead and delete that. Again, press L for the keyboard shortcut, press down on Shift, and then drag. Now, there we go. Okay, color that. I don't like to do like a yellow like that. I like to do more like a turmeric yellow like that, a little more creamy. Now I also want to create like a nice glowing effect. So how do you do that? Basically you're going to create a big circle. And the reason it's going to be big is because we want a lot of area for the gradient to shoot out from. So here we've got that big circle. We're going to click the gradient tool over here. The shortcut on the keyboard is G. We're going to go ahead and set this gradient's color. So here we have it's sampling white and black. We're going to do yellow. And let me just move that so we can see that. Okay, let's go ahead and sample this gradient color. So I'm going to click the white because I want to change this color from white to yellow. I'm going to use the eyedrop tool here and I can sample any color on the artboard. I'm going to sample that yellow. Go here to the black. I'm going to make that white. And I'm going to change the opacity to 0%. So essentially, that makes it just a yellow color fading out to nothing. From here, I'm going to do this radial gradient, which is basically like, you see right here, it already kind of looks like a sun. So the gradient is fading from in to out. Now, you can just do like a sun just like that, right? You don't even have to have that circle. I like to add the circle just for a little bit of added kind of depth. So from here, just play around with it a little bit. Right now, I'm feeling like this is a little too orange. I want to make it a little more yellow, so I'm going to adjust that. And I'm going to, again, sample. There we go. I like that brightness. See how that pops a little bit more? I'm into that. And it's sticking out a little bit, so I'm going to bring down the opacity just a bit. There we go. There we go. Just lay them over nicely. And then let's bring them down so that they are within the frame. There we go. Okay, so we got the light source. The light is coming from this upper left-hand corner and shooting down onto the character or this woman. So that means your shadow is going to be back here. So knowing that, I'm gonna start and make a gradient on her pants. All right. So very similar to the way that we did the gradient on the sun here, I'm gonna add a gradient to the pants. Let's just fix that. There we go. Okay, so go here. You can click the tool or press G. We are going to sample the color first. Okay, so again, we need a lighter color up front and not front, on the left-hand side of the pants. It needs to be light and then this part needs to be dark. So press that white, sample. I'm going to sample the original pant color, and then you see how the shading is already happening. Now instead of black, we're going to do like a darker blue. So just go up here to your brightness, and something like that is fine. Okay, and maybe I want to even make this a little bit lighter, or what we can, so right now the gradient's not showing too much because the dark color is so overwhelming. So we're going to slide this over to give that light color on the left-hand side more room to breathe. Now, with the gradient tool, we're going to redraw it. I like to try a couple different angles. You want to make sure it's blending well. You don't want to see that stark line there. That doesn't look very smooth. That looks pretty good. That looks okay. I can make this a little bit brighter. Or, I mean lighter, just so that there's more contrast. And I don't like how dark this is actually, so I'm going to lighten that a little bit as well. But not too much, because again, you want that contrast. Colors are very particular. They require a lot of detailed work. Okay, so this pant leg needs to be in front of this pant leg. So we're going to click, arrange, bring to front, or instead of that, let me just send this to the back. Arrange, send to back. All right, there we go. I'm going to make that thigh pop out a little bit more, again, because I like those exaggerated forms. There we go. Okay, from here, we're going to just copy or sample this gradient. So what I'm going to do is press I and sample. Yes, you can also sample gradients as well, not just solid colors. If you notice, I put this pant leg to the back, which caused it to go behind the shoe. So that means I need to take the shoe back as well. All right, so we can see already this gradient starting to form here. It's darker up here. And then we also see a little bit of contrast here between this light thigh and then the darker pant leg of the second leg. But I want to kind of up that contrast a little bit more, so let me fix this gradient. Press G. And see how much more that thigh pops out now? Much better. So from far away, yeah, that's going to be a lot stronger. However, I don't like how stark that gradient is, that line is, so I'm going to try to do that again to kind of blend it out a little bit more. That's much better. Alrighty, and essentially you just do this for, you know, the shirt here, the shoes, same deal. So go ahead and press G, and let's make this gradient. Sorry, my brain just died for a second. Okay, it's back. Gradient. We're gonna sample the colors. Boom. Use this gradient tool. I'll just use that. I know it's a little bit of a different color. It's fine. Change this to like a darker red. It's too black. Change this. Make it a little, have a little more color. I want to make this a little bit pinker. That should be okay. That's a little better. Okay. And then the arm, you want the arm to like pop out a little bit more, so that's a little too much. Do something like that. That's cool. There we go. And then we can add a little zipper here just to kind of give it a little extra detail. Honestly, detail is actually something I want to work on a lot more. I'm not the best with detail. The simple style kind of comes to me naturally, but, and you know, sometimes simple is good, but at the same time, sometimes I use that as a crutch because I don't want to like be patient and create more details. So I'm trying to do that more. Gotta turn that. So you want the zipper to be parallel with the top of the pouch as much as possible. Sometimes if it's not moving the way you want, just zoom in more and it'll be more exact. Secrets, secrets. There we go. Okay. So we added our gradients. We added a backdrop. That sun is there. The mountain is there. Let's add a little bit of shading to this mountain. This is just super simple. Properties. Actually, let's sample this color and then we'll just make it a little bit lighter. There we go. And then let's press N. Oh, you know what I'm realizing? Okay, so see how the stroke is red? That means I'm in the wrong layers panel. So I'm gonna actually go ahead and delete that. This is also red. So I'm gonna copy that, delete it, and I'm going to go into the green layers panel because this is the backdrop, which is supposed to be under the character. So let me go ahead and lock the red layer panel so I don't forget. So that I'm not able to create in that panel. I'm gonna go Command V. Now see how there's a green outline? That means it is in the green layers panel. So I don't like that. I'm just drawing some freeform shapes, nothing fancy, no big, secret to that. B, okay, and then one more time. Great. So the backdrop is starting to come together. I want to give her more of a feeling that she's like up high in the air. So first of all, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take everything and bring it up into the artboard a little bit more. I might have to make this smaller. All right, make these guys smaller. It's fine. Let's do that. Okay. And so, yeah, I want to make her feel like she's a little bit like kind of high up on this mountain peak. So the way I'm going to do that is actually by putting some clouds here. Now, I like to make my clouds pretty just geometric. And so I'm going to create a rectangle there. Change that fill to white. Oh, you know what? Let me just, boom. And then let me drag this down so that you can see it. You know what? Before I do the clouds, let me put a background so you can actually see the clouds being made. Okay, so at this point, I don't really need the photo anymore, so I go back down here. I either take the photo, to the side, or I just delete it. Doesn't matter. And I'm going to go ahead, press M for that rectangle tool, create the backdrop. So again, because this is in my layers, my blue layers panel, the first one, everything I create in it will be underneath this, whatever's on top. Okay, so now it's time to figure out the color. Again, we're just going to play around, see what feels right. You can see the sun, that glow effect, that gradient really interacts differently with different colors. So that's really important to keep in mind when you're figuring out what to do. And also just to keep in mind the context of the illustration, right? So a lime green one wouldn't make sense. I mean, at the end of the day, nothing is, it doesn't have to be literal, and it's totally up to your interpretation and style. For me, my goal with this piece was to make this girl feel like she was, traveling and having a really exciting adventure and kind of feel on top of the world. So that's my goal personally, which is why I want to use colors that make sense for that aim. So I like this peach color. The blues are too harsh. I don't like the way it mixes with the sun. Even though the sky is blue, I don't really like the way that looks. So I'm going to use something a little softer that really blends more nicely with that yellow, which is kind of like this peach. I like that peach. See how nicely that gradient fades into it? I really like that. So I'm going to go with that. Let's make it a little smaller again, just so that it's not totally sticking out of the artboard. Okay, that's fine. All right, and now for the clouds, just stick these clouds in there. I'm going to press Option, make a duplicate. I'm going to stack these. Now from here, let me actually go ahead and lock every other layer. From here, I'm going to select these two clouds, and I'm going to combine them. I'm going to create them into one shape. So I'm going to use the shape builder tool here, and I'm just going to drag, and everything that's highlighted there is going to become one shape. So there we have our one shape. I'm going to press the direct selection tool, go here, and just drag out, and something like that is pretty cool. Maybe I want to do that to make it a little bit more like thin. There's one cloud. Let's do it again. We want to work with different sizes, so let's do that. Maybe put that there. Let's try a circle. Why not? Ah, press down the shift button. Don't forget that. Let's do this. Let's try another piece with the shape builder tool. So let's go option, drag, and do that. Oh, you know what? We got to do this. There we go, and there we go. Shape builder. Press A for the direct selection tool. Do this, do that. Whew. You just want to play around with the positioning, what makes sense. A lot of this you just have to kind of like look at it with your eye and figure out what works, where, you know, what balances what. So this work takes some time. Let's put another circle in because I like those circles. Oh. This cloud is actually looking a little bit big. I don't like that too much. Make it smaller. Let's do that. Let's maybe make another duplicate of that, make it smaller. Let's use the shape builder tool again. I don't really like the way these clouds are coming out. You know, they look kind of weird. So it really just requires some patience. To get through. Just try out different things. Something like that's kind of coming together. Alright, so maybe something like that is cool. I kind of want to bring this mountain range in a little bit actually. It's kind of a little bit further out than I would like. Let's try doing this. And that's going to affect the clouds. There we go. I think that kind of is actually solving the problem a little bit too. Move this over. There we go. Alright. Let's fix that actually. Alright, so yeah, that's kind of the gist of it. One thing I'm noticing right now is that the skin color is fading into the background, so I would adjust that and make the skin pop a bit more, so I can make it lighter, I can make it darker. I can go lighter, or I can go see what darker looks like. I can make that darker, and I can actually make the background a little bit lighter. Create that a little bit more of that pop. So there you go. There you have this character design. We can compare this one. So I actually did make this live for you. This is my first, again, tutorial like this. Let me show you the other character design that I did, which is basically the exact same thing. I just did it yesterday. All right. Yeah, so pretty close. Some differences I see. I added that earring there, so that wasn't in this one that we just made together. The forms are a little bit different. She's a little bit more fluffy here. I do like that. But yeah, for the most part, we pretty much recreated this piece together. All right, all. So I hope that was helpful for you. My throat really hurts, so I'm glad that we finished that in time. So yeah, if you like this video and if you want to learn more about what it takes to, make a living and start a business as a self-taught graphic designer or any creative, please make sure to like, subscribe, and comment. If you have any suggestions as to other tutorials you'd like me to make, please let me know. All right, all, thanks for tuning in. Bye-bye.